Alright, Brush Monkeys, we're back, and this week we're continuing our look at the Frostgrave Witches box set with this little lady I put together. She's the Green Witch. Yeah, she's got a little bit more of a kind of a Middle Eastern, North African look to her, kind of Morocco. So I'm going with a slightly darker skin tone on this one. I think she's going to look really good when I'm done. And I've got a few different shades of green contrast paint that I think is going to look really fantastic on this, because I'm trying out the Army Painter Orc Skin. Now if you look at the Citadel Contrast Orc Flesh, that's pretty dark green. It's not quite as dark as the Absolution Green or the Angel Green, that the Dark Angel's Green that the contrast comes in, but the Orc Skin from Army Painter, quite a bit lighter color. So I think that's going to look really fantastic. I think that's going to look good to layer the three contrast paints on this figure and hopefully make it look really good. So I will shut this off and get started on that, and then I'll come back and see how she looks. Alright, see you soon. Bye. Okay, so I started adding the contrast paints in between layers of the skin tone while I was waiting on those to dry. So I ended up getting a lot more done than I thought I would, but you could definitely see the difference between this is the Army Painter Orc Skin and this is a Citadel Orc Flesh. You can see the Orc Skin is not quite a contrast paint. It's almost like a very thin just war paint. It didn't exactly act like a contrast paint should. So I may highlight that up a little bit more. The contrast paint, on the other hand, flowed into the crevices and shade washed it and everything, highlighted like it's supposed to, but it's also a little bit darker than the contrast paint. You can see that especially up here, like the hat's still wet, but you can see where the hat band is the Orc Skin, and then the top is the Orc Flesh. So now I'm going to go through and do this over tunic in the Absolution Green, and probably the pants in Absolution Green. The boots and the bracers, the belt and pouches are all going to be in snakebite leather. And then that, I think I'm going to have to do something with that sword, aren't I? Didn't really put aside anything for the sword, but we'll work on that. And then I also put aside the green metallic for this gemstone and this one on her hat. Both of those will have a gold setting, and then the stone itself will be that green metallic. So yeah, I think she's going to look really good. Right now she kind of looks like one of the guards for the Emerald City. No one gets in to see the wizard, not no one, not no how. Anyway, I'm going to go do the Absolution Green and come back and take a look at it. Bye. Alright, I'm back, and as you can see, this is where speed paints get their name. Just 3 speed paints, contrast paints, and almost the entire figure is done. I really like how she's turning out. I still got the gold and metallic green to do on her gemstones there. I still got her leathers to do. I still got the hilt and pommel and blade of her sword to do. However, all of that's going to wait. I'm going to wait until this dries, and then I'm going to dry brush everything with a light coat of Niblet Green, just to kind of help tie all those greens in together and highlight them all. I did go in with some old school Scorpion Green and layer up the under tunic a little bit, and I think that helped. It kind of gave it a little more depth, especially in the folds, what have you. But yeah, once that Absolution Green dries, then we'll give the whole thing a dry brush of Niblet Green, a very light dry brush of Niblet Green, and then I'll go in and do those metallics. And I think that'll kind of help tie everything together. I really like how she's turning out. I'm pretty happy with her. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and let those dry, and then we'll come back and see how she looks. Alright, see you in a bit. Alright, I've dry brushed everything with the Niblet Green, and you see how that kind of ties everything together, and yet there's still differences between the various greens on her. I think that looks really fantastic. So up next we're going to do the metallics. We're going to do the hilt and pommel of her sword and the blade and the settings of the 2 gemstones there, and probably the buckle on her belt. And then we'll go back in and take another look at her before we go back in and do all the leathers. It'll all be in snakebite leather, so there'll be a nice brown color to contrast with all that green. So I think she's looking really spiff so far. Also went ahead and painted her eyes with a little bit of white ink just to give that kind of power look to them. I might go back in with some fluorescent green and kind of touch up those eyes, or maybe Tesseract glow, give the eyes a little glow effect. Yeah, so I think she's looking pretty good so far. Actually, come to think of it, maybe I'll do Tesseract glow instead of the gemstone. Yeah, let me go take a look at that and see how that looks. I'll be back. Alright, brush monkeys, sometimes things work out better than planned when I just make up stuff on the go. So I went ahead and did her eyes, as you can see, and the 2 gemstones that I was going to do in metallic green with Tesseract glow. I did the settings in metallic green, so you still got that little metallic green shine there. But then I based the gemstones in white, like her eyes, and then just did a little bit of Tesseract glow over the top of it. Now it all looks like it's glowing with her magical power. Really dig how that looks. Belt buckle looks good. The sword and her hilt and pommel of her sword and the blade of her sword look pretty good. I tried to do kind of a light true metallic metal on the blade there with the black and steel gunmetal, plate mail, and shining silver. And it's a very subtle effect, but it's another one of those things that looks better in real life than it does on camera. But I dig how it looks. So up next we're going to go ahead and do the leathers in wraithbone and then snakebite leather. And we'll come back and take a look at that before we wrap her up and finish her up. Right. So I'll see you in a bit. Bye. Alright, so now her leathers are done, and you can see that makes a nice contrast to the to all the greens on there. Got all that leather done, and snakebite leather, and it's kind of a yellowish brown, so it looks really good against the green, as opposed to the AP hard leather would be kind of more contradictory color because it's kind of a reddish brown, but I think that yellow brown fits nicely with it. So that's that one. I also went ahead and did the base with a little bit of niblet green, so the base is almost entirely finished. All we got left to do is paint the base band with the forest green, so I'm going to give it a second for that contrast paint to dry, and then we'll come back and do the base band, and then the next time you see this young lady, she'll be completely done. So this is another really quick, easy little paint job, but I think the effect it had turned out really nice. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Bye. Alright, there is our finished Green Witch. She looks pretty good. I really like how she turned out. I like how she's only the second one out of the coven that's not showing some kind of power jetting from her hand or what have you, but it's very clear she is not one to be messed with. She looks like she would be the enforcer of the group. It's like the doorman kind of thing. But I like how she turned out. I really like how all those different greens kind of work together on her. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Next week we're doing the Purple Witch, so that should be some fun. See you then. Bye. Hey Brush Monkeys, Tom here. If you like what you see, click like down below, and if you want to be notified when new videos get posted, click subscribe. And in the meantime, if you want to support us in any way, check me out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Twitter. We're on all those platforms. If you see a miniature on the site that you want to make one of your own, hit me up on Instagram. I can quote you a price for that. And if you want any Flying Monkey Studios merchandise, like t-shirts, things like that, hit me up on storefrontier.com/flyingmonkeystudios and get all your merch there. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.